motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Good. Any comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Public comment? You guys wait until later? Build up steam. All right. If not, motion to approve the minutes of March 26, 2018 meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments on it? Victor's not here to correct.
To wordsmith it. No.
Keep going. Start
All in
the car.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
They were 26 pages, I think, right? Something like that.
I think those were the 22.
Readers Digest.
The district meeting is on May 7th at 8 o'clock in the auditorium here at the high school. And the next board meeting is at the May 16th at the library here. We have, every year we have to do teacher non-renewals, and Ron is ready to do that.
Yes. As many of you know, we do non-renewals because if budgets don't work out the way we have to, we typically non-renew the most recent ones on board. Typically, they get rehired again right away after the budget passes, so don't get too nervous. Anyway, I move the contract for employment for Kristen Archer, Kristen Allen, excuse me, Emily Archer, Lindsay Callahan, Kristen Chacon, Lisa Conant, Craig Emmons, Julie French, Lindsay Galpin, Serena Garofalo, Noreen Grenier, Kendra Havens McGolgan, Danielle Hay, Corey Kevorkian, Carrie Kaczynski, Nancy Kozlik, Kelly Lehman, Melissa Lonsdale, Amy McKay, Dana Markovitz, Lisa Mishrisky, Brenda Parness, Tara Salvadori, Erin Schilling, Michelle Schwartz, Delani Shanker, Benjamin Shouty, and Joanna Silverstein not be renewed for the following year upon its expiration at the end of the 2017-18 school year, and that the superintendent of schools is directed to advise such persons in writing of this action.
Have a second?
Second.
Any comments? This is an annual effort.
It is.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Under committee reports, Phil, Andrew?
Yes, in everyone's folder, there's a double-sided item that were flip charts that we were going through at the meeting. So the grid side, we spent a lot of our time talking about the full spectrum of safety and security initiatives that we should be considering. With our goal in working with this is to come up with some short-term, medium-term, and longer-term initiatives that we can pursue. So this is just the beginning. We are nowhere near complete. On the flip side, we also were speaking philosophically about some things in terms of what are we hoping to address regarding safety and security. So you can see the bullet list there. And well, it's very short on paper. It was a lengthy discussion. And we had good public turnout and good input, and hopefully that will continue, because this is not an easy topic for us to wrestle with. So we're very interested in hearing where people would place the priorities for safety and security. And then we discussed the information session and spent a little bit of time laying out what we thought that would look like, which you can see at the bottom of that page. Anything to add, Andrew, or anyone else who attended? We need to get another meeting on the agenda.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful to have another utilization.
Do you think we'll be able to before the information session?
You guys
I'm-
need to put together
I'm out.
this
I will be out of town next
Yeah,
week.
next week is vacation, so. All right.
Yeah, you
We do need to put together our PowerPoint.
Yeah.
So if you need any help on that, you have to.
Good.
I'll be here next week for most of it. So.
I know Lucy, you were there, Bob, you were there, anything else to
Yeah.
add?
No, I thought it was a good discussion. Obviously, there's quite a bit of work to do to get the final plan. There's lots of options, and, you know, we didn't tackle the cost. We didn't tackle the cost of these things, only in one or two things that we
That's
had
right.
some information, so.
And also, we had, I think it just didn't get captured, but we were starting to write down a couple questions to get more specific on some of these things. But there's still a fair bit of work ahead of us, obviously. This is not going to be solved in one meeting.
I'll just add, just because it's kind of in keeping with what we're discussing rather than in the superintendent's report, that as I sent the board an email, I don't know whether everyone is able to see that last Friday when we began kind of that process of the tabletop activities with John Field from Department of Homeland Security. And we were talking about the process of prioritization in the area of enhancing security. And there's a vulnerability survey that school districts have used for years, and they are extraordinarily cumbersome, probably close to, I don't know if you've ever used it before, like 700 questions. They've actually modified that, and he suggested that that would be a good starting place for us to use.
Cool.
It's very, very comprehensive, so I think that will be helpful to kind of cross-reference some of the ideas. The committee had some of the ideas that we've had, what we know about our buildings and our campuses, so I think that will
Great.
help direct us there.
Sounds good.
Yeah, indicate that police officers coming on the 24th.
Okay, sure.
That's relative to this.
Yes,
yeah.
that is relative to this, Bob, you're right. We have the opportunity to have an SRO come out to speak with us. I didn't have a chance to come back to the full board to say, do we want to do this just as a board meeting, or do we want to do it as an information session? Kate Cummings happens to be available on the evening of the 24th. So she's going to come out to do an information session on the SRO program. That happens to be the day that we're doing strategic visioning in the library anyway, so that will go from 4 to 7. She'll be here from 7 to 8. Any parents who'd like to ask questions, listen to information can come out for that, and it would be an opportunity for the board to also get information. I realize that the board may want to have some more specific one-on-one time with her, but she was available. It's right around the corner. I don't know what will happen this evening, whether we'll get feedback from people who feel like they want to know whether the SRO is in or out in terms of the budget moving forward. If the board were to be voting on an SRO, we're not back at the table for a board meeting until, I mean, we're for the district meeting on the 7th, but not until the following week. But just so you have a little, just to get a time check in terms of this process. We're also awaiting an MOU from Sergeant Burns, as I mentioned to you at a previous board meeting. In order for us to have a look at what an MOU would look like between us and an SRO, we needed to indicate that we were interested in moving forward. In the event that proposal doesn't move forward, then obviously we don't need to use it.
Thank you. In terms of communications, Andrew and I went to the Brewster PTO meeting the other night and got a lot of communication and a lot of input from parents that were there. In addition, I've gotten letters, 2 from Kate Farnsworth, Kate Spina, Missy Booth. Susan Oakley is twice. Kimberly Johansson, Megan Kavanaugh is a teacher in the high school with an AP statistics course, and her class has done a statistical analysis of the number of children, number of students in a classroom and their relationship to SAT scores. So she gave us this statistical analysis of this, and I read it, I need to read it a little more instead of in front of the TV at 11 o'clock at night, so I think I gotta read it a little more carefully.
Well, I did
to
volunteer
grade it-
us.
To grade it.
I
so.
volunteered us to go to their class to talk to them further about correlational versus causal
Yeah.
data.
Bob, can you pass that along to us?
Yeah.
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 I didn't catch the name. Who was the teacher?
Megan Kavanaugh, just was,
Megan, like Maid? Okay, there's another Megan. Right.
yeah.
And it's an AP statistics course here at school. We also got a letter from Christine Dreyfus Bates, Kathleen DeBrom on the project graduation. They set the date and they got the place as they were looking for. Jen Zenegren sent us a picture of the basketball team behind the board. Ash McCarty, Megan Morello, Maureen Hamilton, Ellen Smith, Ahern, safety. The other ones are on school issues. Jessica Babbitt, Laura Samperi, Teresa Wyman, Allison Palo, and Jenna Palo. Beth Vians, I guess. Elena Marino, Courtney Costa, and Nick Fiala. I've answered 138 letters since February 20th, and I have 12 unanswered so far that I can find. So I will finish those up before the break. So those are our communications that I received. Any other?
Yeah, I received an email, and I believe Bob did too, from a neighbor of Kathy Hinge. She was talking about project graduation. But it's been resolved, so
Yeah.
it's good, yeah. I
That's
went back
good.
to her to tell her it was resolved.
So those were the communications I received. Kath, you have superintendent's
Sure,
report?
just briefly, so you have a break before you go into the district meeting. I don't know how many of you were able to go to the high school musical back to the 80s. It was absolutely fantastic. It was really a cut above. I think the show was fantastic. The talent was absolutely incredible. And the difference in the sound system, we used someone who Erin had worked with in her previous district, and it made an incredible difference in the auditorium in terms of people's ability to hear. So it was fantastic, and truly a credit to our students, the type of skill and creativity and the bonds of friendship that were so evident throughout the show, and primarily when the show was over. It's that time of year when high schoolers are beginning to realize that this place that they thought they couldn't get out of soon enough is actually really going to come to an end. And it was a bittersweet moment for them at the end of the show. And absolutely hats off to Aaron and Tim Fisher. The pit band was outstanding as well. I did want to follow up on the work that we've done since we had an incident several months ago with one of our students in Middletown with a racially charged situation. And we made a commitment at the time to begin to look at our response to understanding race, understanding diversity and equity, and Mary Ellen has helped to gather a team of people, and we will be working with someone who's going to help us to have some kind of community conversations around the topic of race. At this point, Mary Ellen and I are on the team. We have a parent volunteer, someone who's also a parent and a staff member in the Middletown School District. Laura Francis is on the team, so we'll be adding a few more people. I'd like to reach out to any of you who'd like to be a part of that. Our first facilitated meeting with a specialist from CERC will be some point this summer, but I'm glad that we have started to get that off the ground. And I did give you the updates on safety and security, what we'll be doing on April 27th when we have our full-day administrative council meeting. People from the State Department of Connecticut will come out to work with the administrators on our responses to various incidents using the tabletop exercises. And part of the conversation that we had as we're looking at safety and security, I believe one of the most important things we can do is to support our teachers and staff in responding to situations of all types. And in school systems, we don't generally have situations where people are exercising their judgment in emergency situations. Much of what we do in school is so predictive and so prescribed that our teachers are absolutely fearful about their ability to use their judgment in a stressful situation. So I think this is some of the most important work that we can do, and beginning that with our administrative leaders at the end of the month with plans for having this type of training. Mary Ellen and I are discussing about whether our kickoff in the beginning of the school year with a focus on well-being can also include this type of training for staff. And that's all I've got, Bob.
So on that, those sort of tabletop exercises, the comment I made at utilization was that those are most effective in my experience in the corporate world when they pull out a key person, such as yourself. That all of a sudden it's like everybody goes in thinking you're gonna be there and we're doing this, and like, no, you're not there. Rock and roll.
And we talked about that, and when we met with them last Friday about that. And again, that's a very classic school protocol, is to be very dependent on one person. And so we did talk about kind of splitting up the groups and having backup people and being more focused on what's the protocol, what needs to be done, and identifying a person, and not by saying it's got to be you.
Right.
Because you're the person, so.
Cool.
I'll keep you posted on that.
I think
No,
that's all for, we have time for a recess before we start at 8 o'clock in the auditorium.
Bring your name tag with you, please.
I didn't realize I was here at 7 o'clock.
All of this stuff before, the 4 minutes before.
There was no public comment.